Hello and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to look at how we can render a bit of concrete. Now it's kind of a dreek Scottish day, so it's very dark, so I've got the lights on, so I apologise for the strong shadows if they're being cast on the page. Now if we look at the concrete, the first thing you notice is it's kind of rough. You know, if you think about the way concrete is made up, it's made from stone, a bit of aggregate, sand and a bit of cement, all sort of mixed together. So it's not ever going to be super smooth. Well, it can be. It can be polished. It can be really smooth. So I'll take that back. But if we look at this particular bit, it has quite a jagged edge. The surface is kind of rough. It has these holes within it, like that, and it has these bits of stone that you can see. So if I'm thinking about rendering this, that's the kind of thing, that kind of feeling I want to get from it. Remember, this isn't about making this photorealistic. It's not about, having like a thing that look, oh wow, that has to be concrete. This is about getting information across as you're designing. So if you're designing something that was perhaps made of stone or some kind of concrete. So I'm going to do this one purely in pencil, graphite pencil, because I don't have any grey pencils. I don't know where all my grey pencils have gone. They're somewhere else. So I realise this is a minute in and I haven't actually done anything yet. So I'm going to start, as always, with my base tone. If I was doing this in colour, it would be a light grey. If I was doing it in pen, it would be a light grey. But I have my pencil, so I'm just going to do it with my pencil. So I'm going to start off with a standard tone as my fill, like that. I'm going to do the same like I've always done on my previous ones and in my previous videos on here. I'm going to start with that on top, maybe a tone 1, and then I'm going to build up a couple of other tones. And again, I know the surface is kind of rough, so I'm not overly bothered about this being incredibly smooth. I'm quite happy for it to be a little bit changing in the surfaces. So that's my darkest tone, so that's probably my 3, maybe a 4 or 5, getting like that, getting darker. And then I'm going to do my last one over here. Now again, this is quite awkward, so I might actually just do this one. I'm going to move my chair a little bit, if you bear with me, and I'm going to... So again, I'm keeping my pencil moving for this direction of the surface. So if I look at that, I can see there's probably not enough difference between these two tones, so I'm going to have to go back in and I'm going to have to make that a little bit darker. So again, I would usually rotate my page, but I'm kind of rotating me instead this time. Probably now my tones there are a bit similar, so I'm going to bring that one down even further. Press a little bit harder, put another layer of pencil on top of it. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Right, so I'm going to start off by roughening up my surface. Now, I'm going to do that by just adding in some pencil roughness to the surfaces. Again, it's just the kind of visual kind of roughness I'm going for. It's not... So I've kind of roughened up my surface. I've got kind of areas that are slightly darker. Now I don't want to keep them really tight like that, because I can end up with this looking like a Dalmatian, and I don't want a Dalmatian. Now I'm then going to go put in my aggregate. So I'm going to start thinking about some stones. So I'm just going to have little bits of stone. Now what I don't want to do is I don't want to make this into a dice. I don't want to have 3 circles on one side, 5 circles on the other side. So I'm just going to add in some random little stones again on top, maybe some bigger ones. Now remember what I said, your rendering is kind of an evaluation process, and I'm going to start, because they're going to have to be a bit darker on this darker side so you can see them, like that. Maybe add in some more darker areas on here, on this side. So then if I look at the edge, I can see the edge is kind of broken. So if I think about my spider, instead of just using my ruler this time, I'm actually just going to take my line and I'm going to do a little bit of a wavy, wobbly line around the outside of that. Now it's not all going to be wobbly, but you think about where the concrete would kind of break away at the corners, you know, that's where it's kind of is most exposed and most likely to break. So I'm going to take my dark outline with my spider. Now at this point actually it probably looks more like a sponge. So the same process as with our other ones, I'm going to think about how I can make this corner. Now I might have this corner so it's completely broken away. So this time I'm going to take that around. And I might darken that in. It's broken off. And I might add some other bits where the kind of holes are at the back. Maybe another one. Down the front. Now if I look at that, there's probably still not enough difference between the tones here and here. So I'm going to go back in, and this time at a slight angle I'm going to build up some more areas of tone because these are a bit strong. So we'll look at that. It's maybe a little bit smooth on this side, so I might make some slightly darker areas. Looking back at my reference stone, my reference concrete. And that line is kind of a little bit broken along there. And I'm going to work back into it. So that's my kind of concrete. Now I might take off my excess down the side there. Down the side there, work along the top. So again, I'll go through it with the flat tone or the flat one. So again, I'm adding, I apologise again, another one. I thought I'd actually switched them off my messages, but I obviously haven't. So I'm putting some kind of texture onto the surface with the side of my pencil. I'm then adding some aggregate. Oh, it's a big one. Let's have it darker down that side. Some aggregate in there to make it look. I could also stipple it if I wanted to. It's about making the roughness on the surface. And then my edge is a little bit broken, like that. Remember, this is about experimenting, so it's seeing what works, and it's not always going to work the first time. It might look terrible. And I'm working into it a little bit more to make this side a little bit darker. And if I look at that, it's maybe a little bit dark on the top, so I'm going to take my rubber and I'm going to take out some little bits, just make that lighten up a little bit. And add in some texture. And that's my concrete rendering. I know it looks more like a sponge, but give it a go, see what you can do. Thanks just now.